Welcome back to everybody to the Otis-Bison Cougar broadcast. Tonight we are in beautiful Greensburg, Kansas. It is about 6:30 at night. The sun has set, and the Otis-Bison Cougars will be going against the Kiowa County Mavericks.
The home team on the scoreboard, the Kiowa County Mavericks. Activity programs at Kiowa County High School are primarily for the student participants. We are pleased to host our guests from Otis-Bison High School this evening. This competition is being conducted according to the rules of the Kansas State High School Activities Association. Coaches, players, cheerleaders, and spectators are expected to assist in the promotion and achievement of good sportsmanship. At this time, let's meet our starting lineups. First for the visiting Otis-Bison Cougars, a 5'7" junior, number 1, Hope Pumpkins. For the Mavericks, a 5'8" senior, number 1, Bear Alvarez. For the Cougars, a 5'9" sophomore, number 2, Zoe Schwint. For the Mavericks, a 5'4" senior, number 2, Megan Heck. For the Cougars, a 5'11" senior, number 14, Macy Wilsey. For the Mavericks, a 5'9" senior, number 10, Grace Thompson. For the Cougars, a 5'7" junior, number 24, Abigail Rodriguez. And for the Mavericks, a 5'5" senior, number 13, Liberty Gilkey. And finally, for the Cougars, a 5'7" freshman, number 33, Delilah Reaver. And for the Mavericks, a 5'9" senior, number 21, Mike Campbell. The Cougars will be coached this evening by Jay Winter. She will be assisted by Stan Lee. Mavericks will be coached this evening by Marcus Mitchell, and he will be assisted by Kim Heft. Good luck to both teams.
Both teams break up, and the tip-off goes to the Mavericks. Number 2 gets it. She runs over to their basketball court and puts it up for 2. No good.
Abigail Rodriguez getting the ball, bringing it over to number 1, Hope Lumpkin. Trying to find her options, throwing it into the high post, over to Macy, now to Marissa at the far wing, over to Abby also at the far wing. Making her way to the top of the key, handing off to Zoe Schwinn, who's near the close wing. Thrown back to Marissa, number 43. Ball is stolen.
Mavericks now have the ball, running it fastly down the court. Number 1 has it. Beer Elvira, she puts it up. No good. That looked like a... pretty nasty slip there. I believe that will be a penalty against the Cougars. Not see her number right now. 21 will be the shooter. With Campo. She puts our first one up. No good. Second one's up. And it's in.
Marissa with the ball, now bringing it over to Abigail. She's going to... Ball is stolen. Oh, never mind. Jump ball is called. Ball will remain with the Cougars. Ball is going over to number 1, Hope Lumpkin. She's going to throw it back over to Marissa. Marissa's going to try getting it over to Macy, which is successful. Bring it up to Hope at the top of the key, and there's traveling called on the Cougars. Turn over to the Mavericks.
13 will be at the sideline, Liberty Gray. She throws it into number 2, Reagan Help. She now pushes it over to 11 at the far corner. Back to 2 at the top of the key. Over to 13. Now over to 10 at the close wing. Over to 11 at the close corner. Over to 13. Now up to the top of the key. Back over to 13 at close wing. Over to 11. Down to 21 at the low post. She tries to put up for 2. No good. Call on the Cougars. I believe that'll be a block. That'll be good for her first shot. Her second shot is up. Off the back of the rim, and it's good.
Number 2, Zoe Schwinn giving the ball over to number 24, Abigail Rodriguez. Back to Zoe. She's going to throw it over to Macy. Back now over to Hope at the far corner. She's going to bring it over to Zoe, and there is traveling again on the court. Turned over back to the Mavericks.
Number 13 has the ball. Liberty Glythe. She dribbles it down the center of the court. Over to 2. Now over to 21 at the far pocket. Over to 13 at the top of the key. Over to 2 at the close wing. Back over to 13 at the top of the key. Over to 21 now at the far corner. Back over to 13. Over to 2 at the top of the key. Over to 10 at the close wing. Over to 21 in the close corner. Now over to 2. Now back to 13. Around the semicircle to 10. Back to 13 at the top of the key. Over to 1 at the high post. Over to 2 at the close wing. Over to the other wing. She tries to put it up for 2. No good. Ball rolls off the court, and it's Cougars ball.
Number 2, Zoe Schwint having the ball again. Going to give it over to Hope. Back to Zoe. Zoe's going to then throw it back over to Abby now. Back to Zoe, going over to Macy at the far wing. Throws it over to the other side, to the low post where Hope is. Hope's going to bring it over to Zoe, who's also at the low post. Gives it back over to Abby, trying to go in for 2. No good.
Mavericks now with the ball. Number 13, I believe, has it. She dribbles it down to the close corner. Now over to number 10 at the top of the key. Over to 2 at the far wing. Over to 1 at the low post. She puts it up for 2. No good. Struggle for the ball. Jump ball is called. Mavericks will have the ball. Number 2 at the baseline, Reagan Heff. Ball is out. Now over to 13 at the far wing. Back over to 2 at the close far corner, my bad. She puts it up for 3. No good. Ball bounces out of the court. Cougars ball.
Zoe throws the ball over to Abby again. Abby's going to throw it down to Macy at the far side of the court. Macy making her way to the Cougars side, throwing it over to Hope at the close wing. Now over to Zoe. Number 1 for the Mavericks throws the ball out. Five minutes, 20 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Number 43, Marissa Reaver, throwing the ball in. Goes in. Mavericks get the ball.
Number 2 running the ball down the court. She tries to do a layup. No good. Struggle for the ball. Number 1 gets it and puts it up for 2, and that's good.
Macy throws the ball over to Abby. Now over to Marissa. Marissa trying to find her options. She's getting blocked by the Mavericks. There's a call on the court against the Mavericks. There was pushing. Number 41 for the Mavericks. The Cougars will still have the ball. Number 43, Marissa Reaver, throwing the ball in again. Back over to Abigail. She's going to make her way back to the Cougar side. Going to the close wing, bring it over
Stolen by the Mavericks. Number 21 does another layup. Puts it up for 2, no good. 1 recovers it. I believe that'll be a block on the Cougars. '21 now getting ready for first layup. Not layup. Free throw, my bad. No good. Puts up for the second one. No good. Another call on the court. I think that's a double dribble or something like that.
Ball's over to Abby now. She's going to make her way to the center of the court. Throwing it now over to Zoe. Now over to Marissa at the low post. Ball is knocked out of her hands, but goes over to Hope Lumpkins. Back over to Abby at the top of the key, going into the close wing. Throwing it over to the far wing where Zoe Schwint is. Back to the top of the key where she's going to throw it over to Hope. Now over to Abby at the close corner. Trying to figure out what's going on. Ball is stolen out of her hands, and there's a jump ball called. Number 2, Zoe Schwint throwing the ball in for the Cougars. Over to Marissa at the close corner. Now over to Abby at the close wing. And there was a call, pushing against the Mavericks. Number 41 for the Mavericks was caught pushing. Back over to Abby now. She's going to get over to Marissa. Throwing it over to Macy at the low post. Going in for 2. No good.
24 for the Mavericks gets the rebound. Nash throw the ball swiftly down the court. Number 1 has it at the low post. She puts it up for 2, and it's good.
Zoe throws the ball in over to Abby going at the far side of the court. She's going to bring it over to Hope at the close wing. Now over to Marissa at the close corner. Back to Hope. Going in for 3. Ball's no good for 3.
Number 2 with the Mavericks, dribbling the ball down the court. She passes over to 24 at the close wing, over to 1 at the high post, over to 23 at the far wing, now over to 2 at the far corner, back up to 11 at the top of the key, now over to 1 at the low post, and it's stolen by the Cougars.
Abigail stealing the ball, bringing it back down to the Cougar side of the court where Hope is, bringing it over to Marissa at the far corner, or close corner, I mean. Back to Hope at the top of the key. Going to throw it back to Marissa. Ball slips out of her hands and goes out of bounds. Turnover to the Mavericks.
Mavericks now with the ball. Dribbling down the court. 11 has it at the far wing. Now over to 2 at the far corner. Trying to find her options. Throws it into 21. And it gets bounced around a little bit. But I believe it went out of the court. And Cougars will get the ball.
Number 2, Zoe Schwint throwing it in over to Abigail near the center of the court, bringing it to the Cougar side. Going to now bring it over to Grace Smith. Now back over to Hope at the close wing. Spinning around, going to bring it over to Macy at the high post. Back over to Zoe at the low post. Zoe's going to throw it back out to Grace. Now over to Abby at the top of the key. Ball is stolen.
24 has it, dribbling it down the court. And the Cougars knock it out of her hands. Ball rolls out of the court. I believe that is a timeout on Cougars. Kiowa Mavericks almost ending the first quarter with 7. Cougars 0 with 2 minutes and 41 seconds left.
Mavericks break the huddle and get back to the court, as well do the Cougars. Ball will remain with the Mavericks.
Number 2 has it at the baseline. Mavericks scrambling to get the ball in. 11 will get it at the close corner. And she tries to shoot it into someone at the low post, but the Cougars steal it.
Abby with the ball now, bringing it over to Grace at the close corner, going into the top of the key. Back over to Hope Lumpkin. Back to Grace, also still at the top of the key. Going to bring it over to Abby. Ball is stolen. Zoe Schwint gets the ball back after a little bit of struggle for the ball. Back over to Abby. Now to Grace at the close wing. Grace trying to find her options. Bringing it back over to Abby at the close corner. Going in for three. No good. Zoe Schwint with the rebound. Going back in for two. No good. Looks like there's a call on the court. Number 2 got a illegal procedure for the Mavericks. Zoe Schwinn has the opportunity for a point or two for the Cougar team. Ball's up and it is good for a Cougar point. Zoe Schwinn going in for her second shot. It is up and it's good for another point for the Cougars.
Mavericks now with the ball. Number 10 has it at the top of the key. Over to 24 at the far wing. Boric back over to 10 at the close corner. Up to 21 at the low post. Struggle for the ball. Back out to 10 at the far wing. She puts it up for 2, looks like. No good. Cougars with the rebound.
Abby getting it now. She's going to bring it to the Cougar side. Now over to Hope at the far wing. Now over to Zoe Schwinn at the far corner. Go back over to Abby. Now to Grace. Going in at the low post. Going in for 2. No good. Preston.
Mavericks now with the ball. 24 has it. Back over to 10 at the far wing. Over to 24 at the top of the key. Over to 11 at the close wing. Over to 23 at the high post. Down to the low post. Back out to the top of the key. Over to 24 at the close wing. Back out to 21 at the far wing. Pushing it around. Ends up with 23 at the low post. She puts it up for 2. And it's good.
Macy getting the ball, bringing it over to Abby. She's going to bring it back to the Cougar side. Throw it over to Hope at the far wing. Now over to Zoe at the far corner. Over to Hope at the far wing. Now Hope at the top of the key. Back to Grace. Now over to Zoe at the far corner still. Going to throw it into the low post where Abby is. Pushing is called on the court. White number 24 was caught pushing from the Mavericks. Abigail has the opportunity for a point or two for the Cougars team. Ball is up and it is no good for a Cougar point. Second shot is up and it's good for a Cougar point.
Mavericks now with the ball. Number 2 has it, dribbling it down the center of the court. Over to 10 at the close wing. Back up to 2 at the top of the key. Over to 24 at the far wing. Now to 23 at the high post. Passing it around. Ends up at 10 at the close wing. She goes to the low post. She puts it up for 2, and it's good.
Zoe with the ball. Macy with getting the ball to Abby, bringing it back to the Cougar side. Abby going in to the close corner. Going in now to the low post. She's going to throw it back over to Macy, also at the low post. Going in for 2. Stopped by the Mavericks. There's a call. Jump ball.
16 seconds left in the first quarter. Assen, number 2, has it for the Mavericks. She dribbles it down the court. Over to 24 at the far wing. She passes it over to 10 at the close wing. Now back over to 21 at the far corner. Going around to 2 at the far wing. She puts it up for 3. No good. Cougars with a rebound. And that will be the end of the first quarter. That'll put the Kiowa Mavericks at 11. Cougars 3.
corner, giving it over to Abby. Now over to Grace near the close wing. Going to give it over to Marissa at the close corner. Back to Grace now at the top of the key. Going to throw it in at the high post where Macy is. Going in for 2. It is no good.
Mavericks now with the ball. Number 24 has it. Over to 2 at the far court. Throwing it over to 10. Now over to 1 at the low post. Passing it back out to 10 at the close corner. She puts it up for 3, and it's good.
Abigail giving the ball to Macy. Back to Abby. Going to bring it over to the back to the Cougar side. Now over to Grace. Going into the high post. Going to bring it over to Macy at the far corner. Over to Abby making her way to the top of the key. Abby's trying to find her options. She's going to run it in, hand it off to Grace. Ball is stolen.
Mavericks have it now. 21 goes for a layup, and it's good.
Macy throws the ball over to Abby. She's going to bring it to the Cougar side. Ball's thrown over to number 20, Grace Smith. Going also back to the top of the key. Struggle to get the ball out, giving it over to Macy. Also at the top of the key. Going to throw it into the low post where Abigail is. Ball goes out of bounds.
Mavericks now have the ball at the baseline. 11 will be throwing it in, Elizabeth Sneed. Now over to number 2, Ryan Heft. She dribbles it down the court, passes it over to 10 at the top of the key. Back over to number 1 at the close wing. Over to 10. Now back over to 2 at the close corner. She puts it up for 3, and it's good.
Abigail is going to throw it over to Hope. Back to Abby, bringing it back down the center of the court to the Cougar side. She's going to bring it in over, and there's a timeout called.
Cougars call a timeout with 6 minutes and 17 seconds left in the first quarter, with Kiowa County at 19, Cougars 2.
Both teams return to the court, get ready to play. Hope Lumpkin, number 1 for the Cougars, will be throwing the ball in. Ball is in over to Abigail. In the center of the court, bring it back to the Cougar side. Going into the close wing. She's going to try to find her options. The Mavericks are blocking her. Ball goes over to Macy. Jump ball is called.
Mavericks will get the ball this time. Number 10 will be throwing it in, Grace Thompson. Over to number 2, Reagan Heft. She dribbles it down the court, over to 2, now over to 21, back over to 10 at the top of the key. Back over to 2 at the far corner. She puts it up for 3, no good. Cougars now with the ball.
Hope with the rebound, give it over to Abby, bring it back down to the court, bring it over to Grace, going in at the low post, going in for 2, blocked by the Mavericks. Ball goes out of bounds. Turnover to the back to the Mavericks.
Grace now throwing it in to Reagan. She dribbles it down the center of the court. Now over to 11 at the close wing. Dribbles it up to the... Over to number 2 at the top of the key. Over to 21 at the far corner. Back over to 2. Now over to 11 at the top of the key. Over to 1 at the high post. Dribbling it in and throws it over to 21 at the low post. She puts it up for 2. No good. Mavericks with the rebound. Struggle for the ball, and it's out of the court. Mavericks, I believe, will get the ball. Reagan at the baseline, throwing it in. Looks around, finds number 1 at the top, or at the high post. She puts it up for 2, no good. Cougars with the rebound.
Macy giving it over to Abby, bringing it back down to the Cougar side. She throws it all the way over to Grace at the close wing, going into the, bring it back over to Marissa, also at the close wing, now going to the close corner. Back to Grace, ball misses her, crosses the center line.
And Maverick steal. Number 11 shoots it up, no good. I believe that'll be a push on the Cougars.
Number 20, Grace Smith, was caught pushing.
Elizabeth Sneed will be up for 2 free throws. First one's up. Bounces off the back of the rim and no good. Puts up her second free throw, and it's in. I'll put Kiowa at 20. Cougars 3.
Marissa throws the ball in over to Abby. Back to Marissa. Getting it over to Hope Lumpkin at the far side of the court. Going to hand it off to Grace at the far wing. Back over to Hope going in for 3. Ball barely misses.
And the Kiowa County gets the rebound. They pass it down to number 23 at the low post. She puts it up for 2, and it's good.
Abby having the ball now. She's going to bring it back to the Cougars side. Throw it over to Hope. Now over to Grace at the far wing. Hands it in over to Macy. Ball goes out of bounds. It will remain with the Cougars. Macy having the ball now. She's going to throw it in over to Grace. Grace bringing it over to the top of the key now. She's going to find her options. Option is over to Hope Lumpkin at the close corner going in. Over to bringing it to Marissa. Traveling is called against the Cougars. Turnover to the Mavericks.
Number 13 will be thrown in for the Maverick. Liberty. Cougars do some subs. And the ball is thrown in to number 2, Reagan Heft. She dribbles it down to the far side of the court, over to 13 at the close wing, now over to 1 at the close corner. She dribbles it into the low post, puts it up for 2, bounces off the rim, and no good. Cougars now with the ball.
Abigail with the ball now, bringing it back to the Cougars side. She's going to throw over to Grace at the close wing. Grace kind of struggling, bringing it over to Abigail near the top of the key. Abby throws it over to Grace. Ball slips from her hands. She recovers it. Traveling is called against the Cougars again. Turnover to the Mavericks.
Liberty throwing it in once again to Reagan. She dribbles it down to the far side of the court. Back over to 13 at the close wing. Over to 1 at the close corner. Over to 2 at the far wing. She puts it up for 3. Bounces off the back of the rim and out of the court. No good. Cougars now with the ball.
Macy throwing the ball in over to Abby, making her way back down to the Cougar side of the court. Going over to Grace now. She's going to struggle for the ball. Ball continues to be struggled with between both the Mavericks and the Cougars. Turnover, the ball will remain with the Cougars. Number 43, Marissa Reaver throwing the ball in. Going over to number 14, Macy Welsey. Finding herself near the top of the key. Macy's going to bring the ball over to Zoe Schwinn, going also at the top of the key, making her way over. Throwing the ball back to Abby. Now back to Grace at the far wing. Making her way to the top of the key. Going to throw it back over to Marissa. Ball was intended for Macy, but it's stolen.
Mavericks now with the ball. Number 1 has it, does a layup. Puts it up for 2, no good. Mavericks get the rebound. Try to put it up again. And then Cougars get it. Foul was called on White, number 1, I believe. Do not know what it is. Cougars now with the ball.
Number 2, Zoe Schwinn throws the ball in. And number 24, Abigail Rodriguez making her way back to the Cougar side. Throwing over to number 14, Macy Wilsey. Macy's going to bring the ball over to Marissa near the top of the key. Marissa trying to find her option. Ball goes over to Hope, but almost goes out of bounds. Hope trying to save it, but ball ends up going over to the Mavericks anyway.
13 now with the ball, dribbling it down the center of the court. Liberty will take it down to the close wing, over to 1 to the close corner. Now over to 24. Ball was almost stolen by the Cougars. back over to 10, now at 13 at the top of the key, over to 1 at the close wing. She dribbles it into the low post, tries to pass it over to 23, but the Cougars steal it.
Number 24, Abigail having the ball now, bringing it back to the Cougar side of the court. She's going to throw it over to Hope near the close wing, going into the high post. Ball is stolen again.
Number 24 with the ball now, passing over to 13 at the low post. She puts it up for 2, and it's good.
Macy throwing the ball in now, over to Abigail, bringing it back to the Cougar side. Abby's going to throw it over to Hope near the close wing, now over to Marissa at the close corner. Back to Hope at the high post, going in for 2, no good.
13 now with the ball for the Mavericks. They pass it over to 10 at the low post. She puts it up for 2, and it's good.
Macy throwing the ball in over to Abigail, bringing it back to the Cougar side, throwing it all the way over to Marissa at the close wing, making her way to the close corner, throwing it over to Zoe at the low post. Jump ball is called against the Mavericks. Zoe Schwint throwing the ball in for the Cougars. Ball is in, over to Hope at the close wing. Trying to find her options, bring it over to number 14, Macy, but it looks like ball will be stolen out of her hands and turned over to the Mavericks.
Anna Greenleaf will have the ball at the baseline. Over to 2, Reagan. She dribbles it down to the far side of the court. Over to 24 at the close wing. Over to 11 at the far wing. Over to 21 at the far corner. Back over to 24 at the top of the key. She passes it over to 11 at the close wing. Over to 21 at the high post. Back out to 2. She puts it up for 3 at the far wing, and it's in.
Abigail with the ball now, bringing it back to the Cougar side near the far side of the court, making her way over to making the ball over to Macy. Put it up for 2. No good.
11 now with the ball, passing it over to 12. She puts it up for 2, and it's good.
Macy with the ball now, throwing it back to Abby. She's going to make her way to the center of the court, back to the Cougar side. Throwing it all the way to Marissa. Down to Macy at the close wing. Going to throw it over to Abby at the low post. Going for 2, just barely missing. Abby trying to get the ball back after the Mavericks get it. Goes out of bounds. The ball will remain with the Mavericks.
24 now has it at the baseline. Over to 2. She dribbles it down and passes it over to 24. 24 now with it at the top of the key. Over to 2 at the close wing. Over to 21 at the close corner. Back up to 24 at the top of the key. Over to 2 at the close corner. And that'll be the timer. And that will end the second half with the Mavericks at 31, Cougars 3. Number 1, Hope Lumpkins will get the ball, passing it out to 14. Back over to Hope. Now over to Macy Wiltsey at the far wing. She dribbles it into the low post. Passes it out to Abigail at the close wing. Over to Hope at the close corner. Back over to Macy Wiltsey at the low post. Both teams jump for the ball. And it rolls out of the court. Cougars will get it. Zoe Schwint now at the baseline. Passing it into Macy Wiltsey at the low post. She puts it up for 2, no good. Kiowa now with the ball.
Number 2, Reagan Heft having the ball, bringing it over to number 1, Bear Alvera. Back to number 2, Reagan. Number 10 having it, Grace, bringing it over back to Reagan at the close wing. She's going to bring it over to number 13, Liberty. Number 1, Bear going in at the low post, going in for 2, and it is good.
Abigail now passing it into Macy. Back out to Abigail. She dribbles it down the center of the court. Over to Reaver at the close wing. Now over to 2. Back out to Hope at the top of the key. Over to Macy Wiltsey. She just slips the ball. She gets it at the half-court line. Back over to number 24. Macy Wiltsey now at the ball. Passing it into Abigail at the low post. That's no good. Number 2 for the Cougars has the ball. Zoe passes it into Macy Wiltsey at the high post. Tries to go over to Reaver. Mavericks get it.
Ball is stolen by number 21, Bleth Campbell, putting it up for 2, and it is good.
Cougars now with the ball. Abigail Rodriguez dribbling it down the court. Getting fought by the Mavericks. Passes it over to number 2, Zoe. She dribbles it into the low post. Tries to find her options. Dribbles it over to Reaver. Over to Abigail at the close wing. She puts it up for 3, no good. She rebounds her shot. Puts it up for 2, no good.
Number 2, Reagan Heft having the ball, bring it back to the Maverick side. Over to number 1, Bear Alvera, put it over back to Reagan. Low post going in, giving it over to number 21, Bleth, put it up for 2, no good.
Abigail now with the ball, dribbling it down the court. Over to Macy Wiltsey at the close wing. He dribbles it up to the high post, or the top of the key, my bad. She tries to pass it over to Abigail at the far wing, but she goes over her head, and it's out of the court. Mavericks ball.
Number 2, Reagan Heft will be throwing the ball in over to number 13, Liberty Gleekley. Ball is thrown over to number 10, Grace. She's Thompson. Now back to Liberty. Back to Thompson. She's going to go to the top of the key, bring it over to number 2, Reagan at the far wing. Now back over to Thompson, going in to Bear, going in for 2, and it's good.
Abigail now with the ball, dribbling it down the court. Passing it over to Zoe at the far wing. She dribbles it into the low post, but the ball gets out of her hand and out of the court. Mavericks now with the ball at the baseline.
Number 13, Liberty will be throwing the ball in for the Mavericks to number 2, Reagan Heft. Reagan's going to make her way back to the Maverick side, throwing it back over to Liberty. Now back over to number 10, Thompson. Back to Reagan. Now over to number 21, Bleth. Ball's moving too fast. Number 1, Bear having it, going over to number 2, Reagan going in for 3, no good. Cougars with the rebound.
Abigail now with the ball, dribbling it down the court, passing it to Hope Lumpkins, but it goes over her head, and it's back to the Mavericks because the ball rolls out of the court.
Reagan throwing the ball in to number 13, Liberty. My brain's going to sleep on me. Ball is now over to number 13, Liberty again. Back over to number 10, Thompson. Ball's thrown over to the low post.
And Hope Lumpkins steals the ball. First to Reaver now with it. Back over to Abigail at the mid-court line. She tries to dribble it out, and it gets stuck on her foot. Mavericks steal the ball.
Number 13, Liberty put it up for 2, no good. Bleth puts it up for 2 as well, and it's good for a Liberty 2 points.
Otis-Bison Cougars now with the ball. 24, Abigail has it at the midcourt line. Be a jump ball by the Mavericks. I believe a timeout? No. Mavericks will get the ball at the midcourt line.
Number 11, Sneed, throwing the ball over to number 23, Shelby. Back over to Reagan. Now over to number 11, Sneed again. Gives the ball to Jansen, putting the ball up for 2, and it's good.
Abigail now with the ball, dribbling it down the center court. Over to number 20 at the far wing. Pass it in to Zoe at the goal post. I believe a jump ball. Oh, no. A slash, I believe, was called on white 24.
It'll be number 24, Hannah Greenleaf.
Zoe at the baseline, passing in the ball. She goes out to Macy Wiltsey at the low post. So passing it back to Zoe. Zoe passing it to number 20 at the high post. She puts it up for 2. Bounces off the back of the rim, no good. She recovers her own ball, but the Mavericks steal it.
Stolen by number 2, Reagan Heft, bringing it back to the Mavericks side. She's going to get it over to number 11, Sneed, at the close wing. Now back over to Reagan at the close corner, going in for 3, and it is good.
Abigail Rodriguez dribbling the ball down the court. Now over to number 20, Grace. That'll be a travel called on her. Turnover to the Mavericks.
Number 24, Hannah Greenleaf, throwing the ball in. Goes over to Reagan, making her way back to the Mavericks side. Find herself near the top of the key, throwing it back over to Greenleaf at the far corner, or far wing. Now over to Reagan at the far corner. Ball goes out of bounds due to the Cougars. Ball will remain with the Mavericks. The Cougars seem to be having a rough time tonight. Reagan will be throwing the ball in. Over to Greenleaf, going to the close far wing. Now over back to number 25, Adele going in. Stolen by the Cougars.
Abigail with the ball, now throwing it down to Zoe. Not Zoe, number 20, my bad. Over to Macy Wiltsey at the far wing. She puts it up for 2, no good. Fight for the ball, but it goes out of bounds. Kiowa with the ball.
Number 2, Reagan having the ball, bringing it back to the Mavericks side. And there's a call. Not a call. Looks like there's a full timeout called by the Mavericks.
Mavericks call a timeout with 2 minutes and 31 seconds left in the third quarter. Kiowa County at 43, Cougars 3. Cougars returning to the court. Mavericks have the ball at the baseline.
Number 24, Greenleaf throwing the ball in over to Reagan. Number 2 going back to the Mavericks side. Back to Greenleaf at the close swing. She's going to get it. Ball goes back to Reagan. Going at the low post. Ball goes out of bounds. Will remain with the Mavericks. Number 24, Greenleaf will throw the ball in. Goes over to Adele, going in for 2, no good. Number 23, Shelby's putting it up, no good. Ball goes back out to number 24, Greenleaf. Now to Reagan at the far wing. Going to go back over to number 11, Sneed. Sneed, my bad. Back to Sneed. She's going to get over to Shelby, put it up for 2, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Abigail dribbling the ball down the center of the court. Back over to number 2 at the far wing. Over to Hope at the top of the key. Over to Grace at the far wing. Back out to Zoe at the far wing. Tries to pass it into Macy, but it's blocked by the Mavericks. She tries to shoot it in again, but it shoots off a Mavericks leg and out of the court. Zoe will have the ball at the baseline. Zoe looking around for a open player. Finds number 20. She tries to put it up for 2 at the high post, and it's good. Mavericks now with the ball.
Number 13, Sneed, bring the ball, or Liberty bring the ball over to number 11, Sneed. She has it. She'll go back to Liberty at the close wing. She's going to the top of the key now. Back to Sneed. Now into the low post where Shelby is. Put it up for 2. No good. There's a call. Blue 14. Macy Wilson was caught pushing. Number 23, Shelby Lingenfelter throws the ball. No good for the first shot. She has one more opportunity for another point for the Mavericks. Second shot is up, and it is good for a Maverick point.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 24, Abigail Rodriguez. Throws it over to Grace at the close wing. She dribbles around. A little trouble, and it's stolen by the Mavericks.
Stolen by Greenleaf. She puts it up for 2, and it's good for another Maverick point.
Cougars now returning the ball down the court. Over to Zoe at the far wing. Back out to Macy Wiltsey at the far wing. She puts it up for 2, no good. Almost smacks the referee, and it's out of bounds. Kiowa now with the ball.
Greenleaf throwing the ball back in to number 11. Never mind, number 13, Liberty. Back to Greenleaf. She's going to be located near the close wing. Back over to Liberty at the close wing, or close corner, to the top of the post, where number 11 is Sneed. Going into the low post, going for 2, and it is no good. Mavericks having the ball. Number 24, Greenleaf, is going to throw it over to Liberty, going in for 3, and then it's good. Nope. Yep, 3.
Cougars will get the ball now, dribbling it down the center of the court. They shoot it clear down to Zoe at the far wing. Out to Hope at the top of the key. Now over to Grace at the top of the key also. Back over to Hope at the far wing. Up to Abby at the midcourt line. Back out to Hope at the far wing. She tries to put up for 3, no good. Mavericks get the ball.
Number 13, Liberty having the ball, putting the ball up, and it is good for 3 points at the what a buzzer beater that was.
That'll be the end of the third quarter. Mavericks now at 54, Cougars 5.
Welcome back to the fourth quarter of the game for the Lady Cougars.
Cougars will get the ball at the half-court line. Abigail will get the ball. Passing over to Hope at the far wing. Over to Grace at the top of the key. Over to Hope once again. Looking for options. Passes it clear over to Abigail at the close wing. She puts it up for 2, no good. Hope gets the rebound. She tries to pass it out to 20, but it's out of the court, and Mavericks get the ball.
Number 24, Greenleaf, will put the ball in. Ball's in to number 13, Liberty, making her way back to the Mavericks side. Back over to Sneed at the close wing. She's going to the top of the key. Back over to where Shelby is, number 23, going to chuck it across the court where Liberty going in for 3, and it's good.
Abigail now with the ball, dribbling it down the center of the court. Over to Macy Wiltsey at the far wing. Over to number 20 for the Cougars at the top of the key. Back over to Macy. Now over to Abigail at the top of the key. Over to Macy at the far corner. She puts it up for 3, no good. Cougars fight for the ball. Mavericks get it.
There's a call. Oh, timeout is called.
A little bit of a confusion on the court.
Never mind, just ignore what I said. I was giving misinformation. Number 24, Hannah Greenleaf, throwing the ball in to number 11, Sneed. Back to Greenleaf at the top of the key. Back to Sneed at the far wing. Going over to number 3 now, Michelle. Back over to Greenleaf. She's going to throw it in to Michelle once again. Ball is stolen.
Cougars fight for the ball. Struggle for the ball, but 20 recovers it. Passing it out to Abigail at the far wing. Over to number 2 at the low post. Mavericks, however, steal the ball.
Hannah Greenleaf bring the ball back to the Mavericks side. She's going to bring the ball back over to number 11, Sneed. She's going to bring it back over to Greenleaf at the top of the key. Now over to number 25, Adele. Stolen by the Cougars.
Abigail tips the ball off the Mavericks' hand. Tries to put up for 2, no good. Rolls around the rim. Cougars struggling for the ball. And that'll be a push, I believe, on the Cougars. That call, I believe, will be on number 14, Macy Wiltsey.
Number 24, Hannah Greenleaf throws the ball in to number 11, Elizabeth Sneed. Bring the ball back down to the Mavericks side. Good. Ball is stolen by the Cougars.
Cougars now with the ball. Zoe at the far wing, dribbling into the low post. She puts it up for 2, bounces off the backboard, no good. Fight for the ball. Kiowa gets it.
Elizabeth Sneed throws the ball to Abigail. Preston. Ball
And Cougars steal it again. Abigail now with the ball at the far wing. Over to Zoe. Now up to Marissa at the low post. She puts it up for 2, no good. Macy Wiltsey tries to put up for a rebound. No good. Cougars will get the ball at the baseline. Now Marissa at the far wing. Over to Macy Wiltsey at the low post. Push will be called, I believe, on the Mavericks. I believe that'll be Mavericks 11. Cougars Zoe Schwint at the baseline. Looking for options. Finds Marissa at the low post. She tries to put up for 2. Another whistle blow on the court. I believe white 25.
Call is against number 24, Hannah Greenleaf.
Marissa will get a couple shots at the free throw line. She puts up her first one. Bounces off the front of the rim and no good. Marissa puts in an upper second free throw and it's in. Cougars point. Mavericks now with the ball.
Number 24, Hannah Greenleaf throws the ball in over to Elizabeth Sneed. Back to Greenleaf. She throws it now over to number 3, Michelle. Number 25, Adele, having it, bringing it over to Greenleaf. Go at the top of the key, going in for 3, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Abigail dribbling it down the court. Over to Grace at the far wing. She puts it up for 2, no good. Mavericks get the rebound.
Greenleaf getting it over to number 11, Sneed, putting it up for 2, no good. Rebounded by number 24, Abigail Rodriguez for the Cougars.
Jump ball is called on the court. Mavericks with the ball at the baseline.
Greenleaf throwing the ball in over to Sneed near the top of the key. Back to Greenleaf at the close wing. Over to the high post where number 20 is, Sydney Taylor.
Abigail dribbling the ball down the court. She's now at the far wing, passing it over to Macy Wiltsey at the low post. She tries to put up for 2, and it's good for Cougars, 2 points.
Number 10, Grace Thompson, bring the ball in over to number 24, Hannah Greenleaf. She's going to bring it to the top of the key.
Stolen by the Cougars. Abigail gets it. She does a layup, puts it up for 2, and it's good. Was a whistle blow on the court. Basket will be counted. Abigail will be at the free throw line. She puts up her first free throw, bounces off the back of the rim, and it's in. Mavericks now with the ball.
Number 24 is Greenleaf having it, bringing it back to the top of the key of the Mavericks side. Now over to number 10, Thompson. Back over to Sydney. She's at the close corner. She's going to throw it back over to Thompson at the close wing. Going all the way over, out of bounds on accident. Turnover to the Cougars.
Abigail will get the ball at the baseline. She passes it in. And she will dribble the ball down the court. Over to Macy Wiltsey at the far corner. She throws it over to number 33, Delilah. She tries to grab the ball, but it rolls out of the court. Macy Wiltsey with the ball. She passes it in to Delilah, bounces off her foot, but Macy recovers it. Tries to pass it over to Abigail, but it goes over her head. Fight for the ball. And the foul will be called, I believe, on Marissa.
Number 10, Grace Thompson will be throwing the ball in for the Mavericks. Ball goes over to number 24, Greenleaf, going in at the close wing. Going to throw the ball over to Thompson at the top of the key. Now over to Michelle at the far wing. Ball now with Greenleaf at the top of the key. She's going to throw it over to Thompson at the close wing. Going to bring it over to Michelle now at the top of the key. Now over to Greenleaf. Now over to Adele. Back to Greenleaf at the far wing. Going to throw it over to the close wing where Michelle is located. Going in for 3, no good. Michelle with the rebound. Greenleaf with the rebound. And that is the time. Your score is 60 Mavericks, 11 Cougars. It was an intense game. Both teams played really well tonight.
See you back in a few minutes for the boys' game.
Chase, mute.
the scoreboard, the Otis-Bison Cougars, versus the home team on the scoreboard, the Kiowa County Mavericks.
What's the hard part? Huh?
Activity programs at Kiowa County High School are primarily for the student participants. Pleased to host our guests from Otis-Bison High School this evening.
So yeah, don't walk 30 feet out of my range.
State High School Activities Association.
Or very loud.
Coaches, players, cheerleaders, and spectators are expected to assist in the promotion and achievement of good sportsmanship. And now let's meet our starting lineups. First, for the visitors, the Otis-Bison Cougars, 5'10" sophomore, number 1, Jake Hoopengarner. For the Mavericks, a 6' sophomore, number 3, Brock Dieterding. For the Cougars, 5'6" junior, number 3, Riley Pauly. For the Mavericks, a 6'3" senior, number 5, Brady Dieterding. For the Cougars, 5'10" junior, number 11, Easton Juno. And for the Mavericks, a 6'1" freshman, number 11, Sawyer Campbell. For the Cougars, 5'9" junior, number 15, Aiden Morrison. For the Mavericks, a 6' senior, number 12, Jeremiah Thompson. And finally, for the Cougars, a 6'2" sophomore, number 21, Logan Meyer. And for the Mavericks, a 6'1" sophomore, number 22, Kate Westlow. Cougars will be coached this evening by head coach Curtis Little. He will be assisted by Philip Butler. The Mavericks will be coached by Matt Hoffman. He will be assisted by Travis Powell. Good luck to both teams.
Hello, welcome back everyone to the Otis-Bison Cougar broadcast. It'll be the Otis-Bison High School boys varsity team versus the Kiowa County Mavericks. The tip-off will begin here shortly.
I know.
Yeah, get really.
Easton Juno will be up for the tip-off. Tips up. Kiowa County gets the ball.
Ball is handed off to number 5, Brady. Then handed off to number 3, Brock. Going in at the low post, going in for 2, and it is good.
Cougars now with the ball. Passing it down the court. Number 1 for the Cougars will get it. Jake Hoopengarner. Pass it over to number 3 for the Cougars. He is at the top of the key.
Ball is stolen by number 12, Jeremiah, going in for 2. He's good. Cougars with the ball now.
Passing it around. Number 15 for the Cougars has it at the far wing. Or close wing, my bad. Fight for the ball.
Ball is stolen by number 5, Brady. He's going in, handed off to number 11, Sawyer. Ball flies out of bounds, but it will remain with the Mavericks. Ball is thrown into number 11, Sawyer again, head off back to number 5, going in for 3, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 1, Jake Hoopengarner, dribbling down the court. He is at about the mid-court line, passing it over to number 3 for the Cougars, Riley Pauly. He dribbles it into the low post. Back out to the Cougars, but it's stolen by the Mavericks.
Number 5, Brady, having the ball again at the far wing. He's going to throw it over to number 3, Brock, now to number 11, Sawyer, going in at the low post, going in for 2, and it's good for 2 points.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 3 has it. Riley Pauly. And a timeout will be called by the Cougars.
Both teams return to the court and get ready to play for the remainder 6 minutes and 35 seconds.
Red ball.
Cougars having the ball.
I think we're orange.
Cougars at the ball, throwing it into number 15, Hayden Morrison. He dribbles it down to the top of the key, over to number 3. Fight for the ball. It's out of the court. I believe it will remain with the Cougars. Riley with the ball at the sideline. Back out to Hayden Morrison. He dribbles it in to the top of the key. Now going to the high post, over to number 1, Jake Gardner. He dribbles it around, tries to get it around.
Ball is stolen by number 11, Sawyer. He's going to bring it in for 2, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Jake has it. Dribbles it down to the mid of the court. He goes up to the high post, tries to pass it in to another Cougar, but the Mavericks steal it.
Brock going in for 3 points, just barely missing. Number 22, Caden with the rebound. He's going to hand it off to number 12, Jeremiah. Looks like shot is no good. There is a call. White number 12, Jeremiah, got a slash called.
I'll give the Cougars the ball at the baseline. Number 15 for the Cougars has it, Hayden Morrison. He passes into number 1, Jake Gardner. He passes it around to, ball is being passed around, ends up with Easton Juno at the close wing. He puts it up for 3, no good. Fight for the ball, Cougars get the rebound. Easton Juno putting it up for 2, no good. Call on the court. White number 11, I believe a slash. Easton's first shot is up. Bounces off the back of the backboard, and it's good. Second shot is up. Bounces off the tip of the rim, and it's no good.
Number 12, Jeremiah having the ball. He's going to hand it off to number 3, Brock. Going to the top of the key now. Trying to find his options, throwing it into number 5, Brady. At the low post, going in for 2, no good. Ball goes out of bounds against the Cougars. It will remain with the Mavericks. Ball is thrown into number 11. Sawyer put it up for 2, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Passing around, ends up with Ethan Graff at the top of the key. Back over to Hayden Morrison at the close wing. He jumps it to the top of the key. Back over to Ethan. He tries to pass it in over to Lander.
Stopped by the Mavericks. Number 3, Brock bringing it in. Put it up for 2, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball once again. Number 1, Jacob Gardner has it. Well, fights for the ball, but the Mavericks take it.
Brock steals it, throws it over to number 5. Brady tries to put it up for 2, and it's no good.
Cougars get the ball. Cougars now with the ball, passing over to Ethan Graff at the close wing. Up to Jake at the top of the key. Over to Graff. He tries to dribble it in. And there's a call in the court. I'll give the Cougars the ball at the baseline. Jake throwing it in. Finds Ethan Graff at the close corner. He tries to put it up for 2, but a whistle's blown, and he is called for travel.
Number 3, Brock throws it in to number 20, Jason Chang. Then now back over to Brock. He's going to go into the high post. Throws it over to number 11, Sawyer Campbell. Puts it up for 2, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 15, Hayden Morrison, has it at the top of the key. He dribbles it over to the high post, back over to Jake at the far wing. Over to Easton at the high post, back over to Hayden. Now trying to pass it over to 13, Lander Blackburn. But the Mavericks, I believe, steal it. Back to the Cougars. Turnover, Mavericks.
Number 3, Brock will be throwing the ball in for the Mavericks. Ball goes to number 5, Brady.
Can you take over?
And at the top of the key now where Brady is. Throws it over to number 11, Sawyer. Back over to number 33, Solis. Number 3, Brock going in for 3. No good.
Cougars now with the ball. Hayden has it. Now over to Ethan Graff. He puts it in to Logan at the low post. He tries to put it up for 2. As a call on the court. White 33. I believe that'll be a slash. Logan now at the free throw line, putting up his first shot. Bounces off the back of the rim. No good. Second shot is up. Bounces off the back of the rim again.
Number 3.
And Kiowa gets the rebound.
Number 20, Jay Shong hands it off to number 5, Brady. Hands it off to now number 12, Jeremiah Thompson, going in for 2. Stopped by the Cougars.
Riley Pauly now dribbling it down this side of the court. He's now at the far wing. Dribbles it to the top, high post, out to Ethan Graff, the close wing. He tries to put it into Lander, but it looks like number 33 by the Mavericks trip gets the ball and pushes it out of bounds. Riley Pauly for the Cougars will get the ball at the baseline. He passes it out to number 15 for the Cougars. Hayden Morrison, my bad. Fight for the ball, and Mavericks get it.
Number 5, Brady has it going in from the high post, going in. No good. Number 33, Silas Hawkins puts it.
Number 15 for the Cougars gets the rebound. Hayden Morrison, he dribbles it around, ends up at the low post, shoots it back out to Lander at the high post. Back over to number 15 at the close corner. He tries to put up for 2, no good. Ethan Graff grabs the ball and tries to dribble it in to the high post, but he gets called for traveling.
Number 20, Shong throws it in to number 12, Jeremiah, bringing it back down to the Mavericks side. Now over to Brady at the top of the key, going into the high post, going in for 2. It is good.
Number 1, Jake has the ball dribbling it down the far side of the court. He's at the mid-court line. Now going to the close side. Over to a little bit of a switching action, looks like. Now it's in number 3. He passes it back out to number 1 at the close corner. Over to Easton at the far wing. He tries to put up for 3, no good. Ball is passed around a bit. Ends up with Ethan Graff at the low post. He puts it up for 2, and it's good.
Number 5, Brady throws it in over to number 12, Jeremiah. Bringing it back to the Mavericks side, going to the top of the key. Back over to Brady, also at the top of the key. Going, ball intended for number 33, Silas Hawkins. Ball slips right off his fingers, goes out of bounds. Turned over to the Cougars.
Riley now passing in the ball to number 1, Jake Kupengartner. He dribbles the ball down the center of the court. Now passing it out back out to number 3, Riley Pauly. He dribbles it into the high post, tries to push it into Ethan Graff at the low post. He puts it up for 2, no good. Easton tries to put up the goal for 2, but is smacked in the face, it looks like, by the Kiowa County Mavericks. I'll be a call on the Mavericks. Easton up for his first shot at the free throw line. He puts up his first shot, bounces out the front of the rim, and no good. Easton now up for a second free throw. It's up, and it's in. Kiowa now with the ball at the baseline.
Ball started over to number 3, Brock. He's going to make his way back down to the Mavericks side near the east wing, or close wing. Going to the high post, going to bring it over to number 22, Caden. Back over to Brady at the top of the key, going in for 3, no good.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 1 for the Cougars has it. Looks like a little bit of a trip up.
White number 11, Sawyer Campbell, was caught blocking.
Cougars will have the ball at the sideline. 15 will have it. Hayden Morrison. He passes it out to 1. Jake Hoopengardner. He dribbles it down the closer side of the court. Now at the close wing. Now at the top of the key. Over to Riley Pauly. He dribbles it into the low post. He tries to put up for 2. No good.
Number 5, Brady with the ball. Now brings it over to number 13, Kyler.
He tries to put up for 2. No good. Cougars with the rebound. Cougars now with the ball at the close wing. Now pushing it into the low post, but Mavericks get the ball.
Kyler brings the ball back over to Brady. He's going to make his way over down to the Maverick side. Going to the top of the key, hands off to Brock. Now going into the high post. He's going to throw it back out to number 22, Caden Rushlow. Back to Shong. Number 3, Brock now near the close wing. Now top of the key, ran over to number 22, Caden. Loses the ball. Hands it off to Brock. Number 5 going. Trying to figure out what he's going to do now.
Burning out the time with 13 seconds left in the first quarter.
Playing number five, Brady's using some fancy footwork against Easton there. He's going to go in for 3, just barely missing. Logan Meyer trying to get the ball. That is the buzzer. Your score is 19 Mavericks, Cougars 4.
Start recording. Zoom in a little bit more.
Number 20, Jeremiah having the ball. He's going to throw it over to number 22, Caden. There's a call on the court. Cougars having the ball. Number 1, Jacob Hoopengardner bringing it over to number 3, Riley Pauly. Going in, and there is a number 3 for the Mavericks. Brock, can't say his last name, was caught blocking. Number 3, Riley Pauly, will have the opportunity to get a point or 2 for the Cougars.
Riley now at the free-throw line. He puts up his first free throw, bounces off the front of the rim, no good.
Number 5, Brady bringing the ball back down to the Mavericks side, going to the top of the key. Now the high post, handed off to Jeremiah. Going in, handed off to number 12, number 22, Caden. Good for 2 points.
15 will be there for the Cougars. Hayden Morrison returning the ball down the court. He'll bring it to the close wing. Over to number 3, Riley Pauly at the close wing again. He tries to dribble it down to the low post, but gets caught traveling.
Number 12, Jeremiah having the ball now. He's going to make his way back to the Maverick side. Jeremiah going to bring it over back to number 3, Brock going into the high post. Going in for 2. No good. Cougars rebound.
Number 11, Easton Juno dribbling the ball. Passing over to number 15 for the Cougars, Hayden Morrison. He dribbles it down to the close corner. Looking around, finding his options. Over to 3, Riley Pauly at the close wing. Passes it over to number 21 at the low post. He puts it up for 2, and it's good. Logan with that point.
Brock with the ball now going into the low post, putting it up for 2. Barely putting it in the basket. Good for 2 points.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 15 returning down the court. Hayden Morrison. Hayden dribbles the ball down to the low post. Tries to put up for 2, no good. Kiowa gets the rebound.
Number 5, Brady, bring the ball back down with some speed, putting it up for 2, and it's good again.
Jake Gardner passes it over to Riley Pauly. He brings it down to the top of the key, over to the high post, over to 15 for the Cougars at the close corner. Slash, I believe, will be on white number 11.
Sawyer Campbell.
Number 15 for the Cougars, Hayden Morrison, will be up for some free throws. His first free throw is up. Bounces off the back of the rim, and it's good. Hayden puts up his second free throw. Off the front of the rim this time, and it's no good.
Number 12, Jeremiah gets the ball over to number 22, Caden. Almost stolen. He's going to get it back to Jeremiah at the close corner, going in for 2. Or never mind, 3, and it's good.
Riley tossing the ball in to Jake Gardner. He dribbles it down the far side of the court. Now coming to the close side of the court. Timeout, Cougars.
Oh.
What? Let's go to the center once they're done.
With about 5 minutes and 42 seconds left in the second quarter. Cougars sitting at 7, Mavericks 28. Cougars will get the ball at the half-court line.
Good.
They pass it into number 1, Jake Gardner. Jake passing over to Graff. Now at the top of the key. Finding his options, finds Jake at the close corner. He pushes it into Lander at the low post. He tries to put up for 2. No good. Mavericks with the rebound.
Jeremiah getting the ball. He's going to bring it down with some lightning speed. Hands it off to Brock at the low post, going in for 2, and it's good.
Riley now returning the ball down the court. He dribbles it to the far side. Now over to the high post. Not high post, the top of the key. He's trying to find his options. Finds number 1 at the close corner. He dribbles it to the top of the key. Over to Easton at the top of the key. Now over to Riley. He dribbles it into the high post. Tries to put it up at the low post, and it's good.
Number 20, Sean throws it in over to number 5, Brady. Now over to Brock at the far corner, going in for 3, no good. Jeremiah getting the ball, back out to Sean, putting it up for 3 from the top of the key. It's good.
Riley turning the ball down the court. He ends up about the mid-court line, dribbling around, trying to find his options. Finds Graff at the close wing. He dribbles it down to the low corner. He tries to put it. He passes it into the Cougars at the low post. He puts that for 2, and it's good.
Number 5, Brady having the ball. There was pushing against the Cougars. Number 3, Brock will be throwing the ball in. Ball is thrown over to number 5, Brady, going to the top of the key now. Trying to find his options. He's thrown over to number 12, Jeremiah. Now over to number 3, Brock again at the close corner. Now back to Brady at the top of the key. Over to Jeremiah going to the high post. Now over to Shong at the low corner, or low post.
Cougars swat the ball away, and 15 will get it, returning the ball down the far side of the court. He ends up at the far wing. He puts it up for 3, and it misses the rim, and it bounces out of the court. No good.
Number 5, Brady throws the ball over to Shong. Back to Brady, going back down to the Maverick side, going to the back down to Jeremiah, going to the high post. He's gonna. Ball was intended for number 20, Jason Shong, but goes out of bounds.
Ethan Graff will be throwing the ball in to Hayden Morrison. He dribbles the ball down to the center of the court. Now at the close wing, over to Ethan Graff. He dribbles it to the top of the key. Struggle for the ball. Jump ball is called.
Number 12, Jeremiah will throw the ball in to number 5, Brady, making his way back to the Maverick side. Top of the key, throws it over to Jason Shong. Now back over to number 5, Brady at the close wing, going in for 3, no good. Jeremiah with the rebound, put it up for 2, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. 15 has it. Hayden Morrison, he dribbles it down the court, down to the far wing. Now over to Ethan Graff, the close wing. He dribbles it to the top of the key. Over to number 1, Jake. He dribbles it around the semicircle and passes it over to Hayden. He tries to go to the low post and puts it up for 2. Number 20 for the Mavericks. He gets the ball out of his hand, though, and it rolls out of the court. Kiowa's ball.
Number 5, Brady, will be throwing the ball in to number 3, Brock, making their way back down to the Maverick side. Once again, back over to Brady, going into the close corner. Now to Jeremiah, back to Jeremiah after it goes back to Brady. Back to Brady once again, going over to number 22, Caden. Now back to number 3, Brock. Over to Jeremiah on the other side, going over to Brady at the close corner. Brady trying to find his options, going to throw it out to Brock at the top of the key. Back over to Jeremiah at the far wing. Now over to number 22, Caden. Back to Jeremiah. Now over to Brady at the top of the key. Over to far wing where Jeremiah is. Back to the top of the key where Brady's located. Back over to Brock. Now going to the low post. Over to Brady at the high post. Going in for 2. It is good.
Cougars now with the ball. Jake will end up with the ball at the far side of the court. Dribbles it up to the far wing. Finds his option, goes over to 15, Hayden Morrison at the top of the key. He goes back over to Jake at the far wing. Over to Logan at the top of the key. Into Easton. He tries to shoot it over to Easton, but it goes over his head and out of the court. Kiowa's ball.
Number 3, Brady. No. Number 3, Brock throws the ball over to number 12, Jeremiah, making their way back down to the Maverick side. He's going to throw it over to Brady at the top of the key. Back over to Brock, Jeremiah. Now to Brock at the far corner. Down to the far, back to Caden at the top of the key. Now over to Brady at the close corner. Going in for 2. It is good.
Cougars now with the ball. Jake with it once again at the far side of the court. He brings it down to the center of the court. Now back over to number 2, Ethan Graff at the top of the key. Over to Juno at the top of the key. Back over to 15, Hayden. Over to 1. Back over to Easton at the close corner. He puts it up for 3, no good. Cougars with the rebound. 15, Hayden now with the ball. He's at the high post. He tries to put up for 2, no good. Cougars get it once again. Hayden now at the top of the key. 28 seconds left in the first half. Now back over to Easton at the top of the key. Over to number 1, Jake. He's at the close wing. Over to Easton at the high post. Tries to go to the low post, dribble it up. No good, stolen by the Mavericks.
Ball goes over to Caden, number 22, now over to number 3. Brock going in fast. Throws out to Brady, going out for 3, no good. Brock with the rebound, going in for 2, no good. Jeremiah trying to rebound it, no good as well. The final score is Mavericks 39, Cougars 11. That is the end of the first half. We'll be right back after halftime.
I stopped recording.
I know, I just shocked myself again.
Anyway,
Good thing it didn't stop your heart.
what?
Good thing it didn't stop your heart.
My mom was
Okay.
Alrighty, everybody, back for the second half of the boys basketball game. Cougars will get the ball at the first half. Number 15 will have the ball. Now over to 3, Riley Polly. Back over to Easton Juneau at the close wing. Little trip up on there. That'll place the Cougars number 1, Jake Hoopengardner, at the baseline. Jake throws the ball out to number 21, Logan, at the high post. He throws it out over to Easton, and Kiowa intercepts the ball.
Number 5, Brady gets it. He's going to bring it over to number 20, Jae-Shing Chong. Then hands it off to Brady. Put it up for 2, no good. Little struggle for the ball. Number 22, Caden gets it, puts it up, no good. Slashing is called on the court. Number 15 for the Cougars, Caden Morrison. Number 5, Brady throws it in to number 3, Brock. He's going to then throw it over to Caden. Now over to Jeremiah at the top of the key. He's going to throw it back over to Brady. Going in for 3, no good. Brock with the rebound, hands it back off to Brady. Brock with it now, put it up for 2, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 1 has it. They're all dribbling the ball down the court. Number 3 has it. Now back over to number 1 at the far wing. He dribbles it to the top of the key. Over to 15, Hayden Morrison. He dribbles it to the low post, tries to put up for 2, no good. Mavericks scramble for the ball and get it.
Jeremiah with the ball now, bringing it down to the Maverick side. He's going to bring it now over to, he's going to try to find his options. Bring it over to number 3, Brock. Now over to number 20, Shong. Tries for 3, no good.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 1 has it, Jake Hoopengardner. He dribbles it down to the far wing, over to 3, Riley Polly. He dribbles it to the low post, puts it up for 2, bounces off the rim, and it's in.
Okay.
Number 3, Brock with the ball now, running down with some speed at the far wing. He's going to bring it over to Brady, also at the far wing. Now Jeremiah at the top of the key, going to bring it over to Brock. Now back over to Shong, top of the key. Ball is almost stolen, but he throws it over to Jeremiah, going into the high post. Going to then hand it off to number 22, Caden, also at the high post. Can't speak. Jeremiah going in, going to hand it off to Brock, going in for 2, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Riley has it, dribbling it down the center of the court. Now over to number 1, Jake Hoopengardner at the far wing. Now over to 21, Logan Meyer at the top of the key. Over to 15 at the close wing. Over to Jake at the top of the key. Back over to Hayden at the far wing. He dribbles it up and around the top of the key. Over to number 3, intended for number 3, and it rolls out of the court. Kiowa now with the ball.
Just remember we're unmuted.
Number 11, Sawyer Campbell,
It's you
will
two if
be
you're
throwing the
singing.
ball into number 12, Jeremiah Thompson. Jeremiah making his way down to the Maverick side. He's going to bring it over to that number 11, Sawyer. Number 5, Brady has it. He's at the high post, going to throw it over back to Sawyer. Tries going in for 2, no good.
You're welcome.
Number 11, Sawyer Campbell will have the opportunity for a point or 2 for the for the Mavericks. First shot is up and it is no good. Second shot is up and it is good for the Mavericks.
Cougars now with the ball. Riley has it, dribbling it down the court to the far wing. He dribbles it back out to the mid-court line. Back into the far wing. Trying to go into the low post. Looking for options. Dribbles it back out to Easton at the far wing. Back into number 13 at the low post. Whistle's blown on the court. white number 2, I believe. Not a push. It was a different one than a push. Riley will have it at the baseline. Now over to Ethan at the far wing. Over to Riley at the close wing. Up to Lander at the low post. He tries to put up for 2, no good.
Number 5, Brady with the ball now, running down with major speed, hands it off to Sawyer and puts it up for 2, and it's good.
Riley now passing the ball into Ethan Graff. Back to Riley. He dribbles it down to the close wing. He goes into the high post, puts it up for 2, and it's good.
Jeremiah having the ball now, bringing it back down to the Maverick side. He's going to throw it over to Sawyer at the close corner, going in for 3, no good.
Cougars now with the ball. Riley has it at the close wing. He puts it up for 3, misses the rim, and it's no good.
Timeout is called. Timeout is called on the Cougars for a full timeout.
Your cheerleaders for tonight will be Nevaeh McVeigh, Emily George,
And Nevaeh McVeigh.
Thank you to our cheerleaders. Mavericks will have the ball at the baseline.
Brock throws the ball in to number 5, Brady. Going to make his way over to the Maverick side with a slight jog. Brings it over to the high post, but then throws it over to the close corner to Shong. Now over to the top of the key where number 11, Sawyer, is at. Hands it off to Brock going in at the high post. There was a call on the court. Number 33 having the ball. Gonna Silas Hawkins is gonna bring it over to number 5, Brady. Gonna then throw it over to Sean at the close corner. Going in. We're gonna throw the ball over to Brock. Number 11 Sawyer going in for 2, no good. Blocked by the Cougars. Number 11 Sawyer Campbell will have the opportunity for a point or 2 for the Mavericks. Ball is up and good for a Maverick point. Second shot is up. And that is good.
Cougars now with the ball. Jacob Gardner dribbling it down to the far side of the court. He'll end up at the far wing. Now at the top of the key. Back over to 15. Hayden Morrison at the close wing. Passing it around. Ends up with Easton at the bottom at the low post. He tries to put up for 2. No good. And a whistle is blown on the court.
Calls against number 20, Jason Chong. Slashing.
Easton's first 3 throws up. Bounces off the back of the rim. No good. Easton puts up a second 3 throw. Bounces off the front of the rim this time, and it's in.
Brock throws the ball over to Jeremiah, making their way back down to the Mavericks side of the court. Now over to Brock. Silas in the way of Graff. Ball is now over with number 13, Kyler. Now with number 11, Sawyer going at the high post, now to the top of the key where Silas is. Number 12, Jeremiah going in for 2. No good. Cougars rebound.
Cougars passing the ball down to Ethan Graff. He goes into the low post, puts it up for 2. No good. Whistle's blown on the court. White, number 3, gets the call on him. Ethan now lining up for his first free throw. Ball's up and in. Cougars point. Second one's up and in again. Mavericks now with the ball at the baseline.
Ball is thrown in by number 3, Brock, and handed off to Tyler, or Jeremiah, my bad. Bringing it over to number 11, Sawyer, going in for 2 from the high post, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Riley passes it into number 1, Jake Coopengardner at the down the court. He ends up the far side of the court, looking for some options. Finds Riley at the close wing. He jumps it up to the top of the key. Over to Ethan, my bad. He dribbles it around, ends up at the far wing, passes it over to Lander, back over to a couple of players, and a whistle is blown.
Number 12, Jeremiah Thompson, was caught slashing.
Ethan Graff now with the ball at the far wing. Now over to number 1, Jake Coopengardner. A little struggle for the ball. And it runs out of the court. Cougars now with the ball. Number 1 will have it. He passes out to number 21. Over to Lander at the top of the key. He tries to pass it into Riley, but the Mavericks steal it.
Brady having the ball now, bringing it back down to the Mavericks side at the far wing. He's going into the high post now, down to the top of the key. Bring it over to Jeremiah, going into the high post. Hands it off to number 33, and then hands it off to Brock. Goes in for 2 and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 1 has it, Jake Coopengardner. He passes it over to Ethan Graff at the far wing. He tries to dribble it into the high post, puts it up for 2, no good. Lander Blackburn with the rebound, and it's good. Mavericks now with the ball.
Jeremiah throwing the ball over to Brady, going over to the high post. Going to bring it over to number 11, Sawyer, going into the far corner. Now Jeremiah with the ball at the top of the key. He's going to throw it back over to Sawyer at the far wing. Go to the high post. Making the ball goes over to Brady, going in for 2, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Riley has it, dribbling it down the center of the court. He ends up at the top of the key, passes out to Logan. Back over to Riley at the midcourt line. Dribbles it around. Tries to go to the high post. Back out to number 1. He goes for a three-pointer, no good. Mavericks now with the ball.
Brady with the ball now. Accidentally throws the ball over to Riley, but Riley doesn't comprehend. The ball goes out of bounds. Ball will remain with the Mavericks. Ball is back in play. Brady with the ball now. Making his way to the top of the key. Brady's running out the time. 15 seconds remaining. Brady playing some fancy footwork against Ethan there. 5 seconds. Brady going in. Puts it up. It's good for 2. Hayden with the ball, throwing over to Ethan. Ball goes out of bounds. That is the buzzer. Score is Mavericks 58, Cougars 20. Mavericks will be starting off with the ball for the fourth quarter. Number 20, Sean throwing the ball over to number 3, Brock. Then flies over to number 11, Sawyer, going into the high post. Going to throw it over to number 14, Cooper. Back over to Brock, and he was caught traveling.
Cougars with the ball. Number 1 has it. Jake Gardner at the baseline. He passes it in and back over to Jake. Dribbles it down to the far side of the court. At the far wing now. Now at the top of the key. Over to Lander at the far wing. Over to Easton. Intended for Easton. Struggle for the ball. Jump ball is called. Cougars with the ball at the baseline. Up for the Cougars, Jake. He looks around trying to find a way in. Finds number 15 for the Cougars, Hayden Morrison. He tries to put it up for 3, no good. Mavericks get the rebound.
Caden bring the ball all the way down with some speed, put it up for 2, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 2 with the ball right now, Ethan Graff. He's at the far wing. Over to 15. Hayden now into Lander at the low post. He puts it out to Graff. He tries to go to the low post, put it up for 2, no good.
Number 11, Sawyer, running back to the Maverick side, puts it up for 2 again, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 1, Jake Gardner has it. .15 now passing over to 15, Hayden Morrison. He dribbles it down to the low post, trying to put it up for 2, no good. Mavericks now with the ball.
Number 22, Caden, bring the ball down with some speed, throws over to Brock. Then now back over to Brady, put it up for 3, and it's good. Substitution is called for both teams. 6 minutes and 1 second remaining in the final quarter.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 1 has it, Jake Gardner. He passes it out to number 24, Lewis McVeigh at the far wing. Over to 25. Dribbles it around, puts it up for 2. At the low post, no good.
Number 12, Jeremiah with the ball now, making his way back down to the Maverick side. Find himself near the top of the key. Back over to Brock at the high post. He's going to bring it in. Call. There was pushing. Number 6 for the Cougars was caught pushing. Or number 16, my bad. Number 33, Silas Hawkins will have the opportunity for a point or 2 for the Mavericks. His first shot was no good. One more shot. Second shot is up. No good. Recovered by number 2, Jarek Webb. He's going to throw the ball over to Brady. Back over to Jarek. Ball goes out of bounds. Turn over to the Cougars.
Kelson Juno will have the ball at the sidelines. He passes it into number 1, Jake Hoopengarden. Over to Lewis McVeigh. He's at the close wing. He dribbles it into the high post. Tries to pass it over to Jake Hoopengardner in the corner. Goes over his head, no good.
Number 20, Jason Shong will be throwing the ball in. Thrown over to number 2, Jarek Webb, making his way back to the Maverick side. Ball goes over to number 14, Cooper Fulton, at the top of the key, going in for 3. And it is good for 2, it looks like.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 1, Jake Hoopengardner has it at the midcourt line. Over to number 24, Lewis. Tries to pass it in. Mavericks get the ball.
Number 20, Sean with the ball now, making his way back down to the Maverick side. Thrown over to number 14, Cooper, at the far corner. Going to throw it back over to number 13, Kyler. Back to Sean, going to the high post area. Back over to Silas. Back over to number 2, Jarek Hawkins. Jarek going for at the high post, going for 2, and it's good.
Cougars now with the ball. Number 1 has it, Jake Hoopengardner. Passes it out to Kelson. He's at the far wing. Tries to pass it over to Ishmael, but no good. Over to number 5, Ian Hazelhorst. He's at the top of the key. Over to number 1 at the close wing. Over to number 24 at the low post. Tries to put it up. Pass it over to 45. He puts it up for 2, and it's good. Whistle's blown on the court. Ishmael is up for his first free throw. First one is up. Misses the rim. No good. Mavericks now with the ball.
Jarek with the ball now, making his way back down to Maverick's side. He will throw the ball back over to Cooper. Then he's throwing it back over to number 33, Silas. Call on the court. Number 24, Lewis McVeigh, was caught blocking. No, not blocking. Holding. 2 minutes, 7 seconds remaining. Number 2, Jarek Webb, will be throwing the ball in. Over to number 14, Cooper. Now over to number 20, Sean. Throwing all the way to Jarek on the far corner. Going over to the low post where number 3, Brock is. Or number 13, Kyler is. Now back to Sean at the top of the key. Now back over to 14, Cooper. High post. Over to Kyler once again. Now back to Sean at the far wing. Throwing it over to Cooper. Look, there's a call on the court against the Cougars.
Minute 30 mark left in the game.
Number 45, Ishmael Cortez, was caught slashing. Number 13, Kyler Sheldon will have the opportunity for a point or two for the Mavericks. First shot is no good. They'll have one more opportunity for another point. Second shot is up, and then it's good for a Maverick point.
Number 15 for the Cougars now has the ball. Hayden Morrison dribbles it around, ends up at the low post, puts it up for 2. Goes across the rim, no good. White 33, I believe that was a block. Aiden puts up his first free throw and drains it. Second ball is up, and it's good.
Number 22, Caden throws the ball over to number 20, Sean. He's going to walk it down.
10-second mark. Looks like both teams will earn the timeout, and that will be the end of the ball game. Kiowa County will have 70 points. Cougars 23.
24.
My bad, 24.